Okay guys, so we're back at it again, and this is one of the biggest allegations that has come out not only in the trap metal community, but just the whole underground rap scene as a whole, because Xavier Wulf has just been accused of some pretty heinous shit. Now if you don't know Xavier Wulf, he's an extremely influential person in the underground scene, working with both Raider Clan and Team Sesh, which is Bones' crew. He was the first ever rapper to go on No Jumper and basically helped to launch that entire platform, and overall he's just influenced countless rappers in the underground scene with his style, music, and everything about him. And all this is to say he's a very well respected, long lasting member of the underground. He's not just some rapper who blew up a couple years ago, did some dumb shit, and then fell off. This is somebody a lot of people respect, but after this, I'm not sure how you're gonna feel. Once again, you know how I do these videos. I'm basically gonna stay unbiased. I don't really have an opinion on Xavier Wulf. I've never listened to him that much. I'm just gonna read out what I got here, and then I'm gonna give my slight opinions, but not in a biased way, like, oh, I love Xavier's music, so I mean more like I'm just gonna try to use a little bit of critical thinking here before just jumping straight on it. But without further ado, let's just get into it. So this all started on Reddit the other day when an unnamed victim posted about her story, and here it is. Xavier Wulf abusive to women. Trigger warning. Domestic violence, sexual abuse, and animal abuse. This is a long time coming, ... In September 2018, I began a relationship with Xavier Wulf. He had met me a while ago before that, but we were just friends. Anyways, ... We began a relationship, and within the third month of being with him, things really took a turn. There was always red flags, like the fact that he would do copious amounts of cocaine, ecstasy, and drink lean every week for days, but the verbals, emotionals, and physicals really started. I'm going to post a screenshot of the event of what I had to write down to send to my lawyer, going to attach what I wrote since it's too many screenshots. He did all these things to me. He would force me to do drugs with him and sometimes force me to do things sexually with him when I didn't want to. When I didn't want to do drugs with him or have sex with him or give him head, he would force me. For Christmas, he bought me a dog. Her name is Ramen. This man is so evil and unhinged that he would take his anger out on Ramen. Ramen was still a baby. We got her at 3 months, and at only 3 months old, he was beating her. She was so scared of him that every time she saw him, she would poop herself. He would throw her across the room. He would grab the TV remote and hit her with it. When I would try to defend her or protect her, he would just end up hitting me and throwing me across the room. The memories of this make my heart hurt. It makes me cry and sick to my stomach, till this day. A helpless little dog getting abused for no reason. One time I tried to call the police. He broke my phone. He broke my glasses. So many of my things he broke. The justice system failed me though. I called the cops one time and all he got was probation. He had to donate money. I tried to sue him and he tried to settle for $10,000, but I said no and pushed for more, and eventually nothing ended up happening. All I got was a restraining order that lasts for 5 years. December 2nd, after his show in LA, him and I were arguing about me overhearing him telling some girls that he wanted them to come over. He said it wasn't true. We kept fighting on the way back until we got to the apartment. Continued to fight in his room. Ash and her friend tried to talk to me and calm me down. Went downstairs to hang out and drink more with everyone, and then I went to sleep. He woke me up yelling that I ruined his night and that he just wanted to turn up with his girlfriend, that he could have anybody there, but he chose to have me there. He was doing coke and telling me to do coke. I didn't want to, but he kept peer pressuring me and threatening me, saying if I didn't do it, then I would have to leave, and he was going to call someone else to do coke with him. I did 2 lines. He calmed down a bit, but I didn't want to continue. I was just laying there. He came beside me and grabbed me by my arm, and then grabbed my bra and ripped it off as he brought me to the bed, then grabbed me and took me downstairs and forcefully pushed me out of his apartment without my belongings, car keys, purse, clothes, and closed the door. Started knocking on the door. He opened the door and then grabbed me by my arm and took me upstairs. As we got to his room, he threw me against the bathroom door and I fell to the floor. I remember being hurt from my leg and it was difficult to walk up the stairs and down the stairs for 2 days. As I got up, I tried walking to the other side of the room and sat down on the bed. He followed me and I said I wanted to go home to my parents, and he grabbed me off the bed and headbutted me. Then he said he was going to call his sister Ash to come fight me. I talked him out of it and I ended up doing cocaine all morning with him and having sex. December 28th, 2018, the night we got Ramen. I woke up about 2 a.m. because I could not go back to sleep. Long story short, he tried to force me to go back to bed and I didn't want to. He grabbed me and held me down to go to sleep. I got upset and said something about it. He then flipped out and he tried to kick me out as we just kept arguing. I had a sweater on that he bought me and he told me to take it off before I left. I did not want to, and I got my things, got up, and started walking away. He then grabbed me and tried forcing me to take the sweater off. I kept trying to get away. He then pushed me against the wall hard and I fell and threw my stuff everywhere. I tried to get up to go downstairs. He then pushed me against the wall besides the studio room and was yelling all types of things in my face and wouldn't let me go. I said I was going to call the police. He grabbed my phone and threw it and then started smashing it, yelling, "You see this?" What phone now? You're not going to call anyone. This is what you fucking get. I remember I went downstairs to get a knife because I was scared. He took the knife from me and cut me on my little finger. Since he broke my phone, I saw his laptop and went to go get it to throw it outside. Went to the balcony and he chased after me, tackled me down, and when I fell, I scraped my knee. After that, we sat down on the couch, talked things over, and got over it. Can't remember the date of this event, but one time he was mad. I don't know why. He just got off the phone with his mom, and I think he was annoyed with her. He spilled weed all over the floor and started yelling at me, telling me to vacuum it, and when I didn't get up quick enough, he yelled at me even more. He kept yelling at me to go get the vacuum and vacuum it. He would always start fights with me about nothing or just get mad about anything. He'd push me around. When I found girl clothes, he went to the closet and took all the girl clothes he had in the closet, yelling at me saying, "You want to look through my shit? Make sure you get everything," and threw my clothes at me and told me he'd throw it away in the trash. I said I didn't want to be pushed around, and he yelled at me more, insulting me. He forced me to throw the clothes away in the trash can. This part I'm a little bit confused about. I'm not sure what she means by girl clothes. I'm not sure if she means like she bought herself nice clothes and then he said he wanted her to throw them away because it was in his closet, or like he had another girl over and then he had her clothes there in his closet. She discovered that and got upset. Not really sure, but either way, it's fucked. February 9th, 2019. After a show in Pomona, he did Molly that night. He received a phone call. I told him to pick it up. It was a girl. She said things that made me question him. I told him to let me see the messages in his phone. His other phone was downstairs. We went downstairs, got the phone, and he deleted the messages. We went back upstairs and he tried to explain himself to me. I said I wanted to go home and got up. He threw me back down on the bed and started choking me. Eventually he stopped and I got up to start to pack my things while arguing with him. I got downstairs and he said to please just stay one more night with him to sleep with him. I didn't want to, but he dragged me upstairs by my arms. While getting dragged, I managed to get up and then he grabbed me by my arms and forced me to go into his room. He pushed me down on the bed. I didn't feel like fighting back anymore. I was too afraid and eventually I fell asleep. Honestly, can't really remember what happened, but I have pictures from that night and I have bruised eyes and marks all over my body and neck, which I vaguely remember. He was yelling at me and smacking me in the face. What I do remember is we went to Big Bear the following day, and I remember after we got to Big Bear, I went to take a shower and I was just crying in the bathroom, thinking to myself, this just isn't right. February 23rd, I reposted a post on my Instagram about guys who do cocaine and how they can't get their private parts to work. He saw it and got upset. He didn't talk to me for the whole day. Until later at night when I talked on the phone, he was being rude and telling me mean things. I hung up on him. I had to do a video shoot that same day and he got upset with me because he thought I was having sex with guys, not actually doing a video shoot. He said he had to leave and that same day do a show in Dallas. He kept calling me at night, but my friend convinced me not to answer his calls because he was being rude and saying mean things. When I did talk to him the next day, I finally talked to him and went over to his house, and he started questioning me about what I did the previous night. We went upstairs, got in his bed, and went back downstairs. I was on Instagram and found out that he had lied to me about going to the show in Dallas, so I called him upstairs and told him I was tired of him lying and was going to leave. As soon as I got up from the bed, he grabbed me by my neck and pushed me on the bed by my neck. I tried to get up and he immediately grabbed me by my head and headbutted me 3 times, one time after the other. I started to see stars and I fell back on the bed. I got nauseous and got up to go to the restroom. I touched where he headbutted me and I could feel a big bump. When I got up to go to the restroom, he then pushed me against the wall. I fell, and when he looked down on me, he helped me get up and started to say he was sorry and started hugging and kissing me. When I finally got to the bathroom, I looked to see I had a huge bump on my forehead. He kept saying he was sorry and I left. I got in my car and called domestic violence hotline, but it was frustrating because no one was answering. Until I found another number and someone answered. I stayed on the phone for a bit, then I saw that he was calling me, so I called back. We talked, I went back to his apartment, he left me to buy me an ice pack, and I stayed in his bed. I had a very bad headache and I stayed in bed all day. When his friends arrived, I ended up leaving because he couldn't freak out in front of them, and then I went to the hospital. And I just gotta say, fuck that domestic abuse hotline. Like, somebody's calling and nobody's picking up the phone. There should be somebody to pick up the phone at all hours of the day, and there should be people to get to you right away. Like, that's an emergency. I don't understand why nobody picked up. April 13th, 2019, he pushed me against the wall because he thought I didn't want him to go out with my brother and I. My friend Sarah was over at the time and she was downstairs, and when I went back downstairs, she asked me what happened because she heard yelling and a loud thud. April 16th, 2019, in Australia. When he got to the hotel from the airport, he took a shower, and when he got out, I noticed he was angry. I asked him what was wrong. He started asking me who I was better than him in bed with and who was bigger. I didn't feel comfortable answering these questions. He got mad at me, started going crazy on me, yelling, saying mean things. I got up and was trying to leave the hotel. When I got up, he pushed me against the wall and I fell. I tried to get up, and as I was getting up, he pushed my head back down. I fell again. I got up and said I was going to tell his mom that was in the room next to us. As I was going to the door, he came in front of me and pushed me down by my neck. I'm assuming she must have blacked out the rest of that event, but I am interested to hear if she actually got to the mom and what the mom did in that event, because unfortunately in a lot of these cases the mothers try to defend their sons even as bad as their actions are. April 18th, 2019, in Melbourne, he was sleeping, his phone went off. off. I saw that it was a girl and woke him up to question him about it. He got angry, grabbed my phone, and threw it at me. I just sat there and cried. Now those are some hefty allegations, I have to say, but she does have pictures of the events, so let's take a look at them. So she has a picture of that giant lump that she mentioned, and it shows on February 24th, 2019 exactly where she was, and I have to say that is a pretty fucking nasty lump. We then have a picture of this, and I think this is going to show that her eyes are kind of bruised up. She has cuts on her legs, her fingers. I think this one might actually be from the whole knife event that she mentioned. I don't need to commentate all of this, I'll just show you the pictures. Another one on the back of her leg. She then has a family therapy report here that says started participating in individual therapy on January 15th, 2020. She's being seen to address symptoms of post-traumatic stress disorder and anxiety with the results of trauma she has had reported. She's experiencing these symptoms from domestic violence. Her symptoms include nightmares, unable to sleep, distrustful of others, and she avoids relationships. Client report, I don't feel like myself, feeling abnormal and being unable to enjoy activities that I used to enjoy. She is also suffering physical symptoms as well, such as nausea and heart-pounding anxiety. Also reports that she was threatened by the attacker's new girlfriend, which is also causing her to feel paranoid. Client has tried to move forward, but is often triggered by flashback memories that refresh the trauma in her thoughts and feelings. She's been encouraged to see a primary medical doctor as well to help with any need for medication support as the symptoms at time reportedly become unmanageable. She will be seen weekly, but this can be increased or decreased depending on the urgency of her symptoms. Then a picture of them together on April 21st, 2019, and then there's another picture of them together, which I think must be the dog, and I just have to say that's even sadder. I don't know why in my brain I was picturing a bigger dog, but that's just a tiny little thing, so if that dog's getting abused, that's just fucking awful. I mean, I'm not saying it's better if it's a bigger dog, but anyways, you know what I mean. Then post a couple more pictures, one of him looking really out of it at the club, then she posts another picture of the dog, which once again is just small, must have been new. More pictures of her paperwork, showing that she's been going to regular therapy since all these events, and then there's a picture of her, and I think that must be his mom, maybe. Then a picture of him with a Kleenex up his nose, I'm assuming to stop the blood because he's doing so much cocaine, or at least that's the insinuation. Then a picture of him DMing her saying, unblock me jackass phone, you so full of shit, I don't believe shit you say, so just stop, laugh my ass off, you're ridiculous, I know you fucking around, grow up and be real, let's not waste any more time. There's bruises on her neck, there's a picture of that, more bruises on her face. She then shows a picture of Google Maps showing that they were together in Australia, and basically all of these pictures are just to corroborate that she was actually there with them at the time that she's speaking of, and I have to say being so specific with the dates and times that these happened definitely add a lot of credence to her story. You know, any girl could say I got abused at this point, you know, it happened here, blah blah blah, this happened, but she's saying like this specifically happened at this date, at this time, and she can actually explain what happened in detail, so that really kind of goes to prove that it probably did happen, but let's just keep looking. I went last night to get the rest of my stuff, and of course he didn't allow me to leave, so he choked me, headbutted me 3 times, choked me again, pushed me against the wall. I'm safe now, but very physically hurt, on my way to the hospital. Did you make it out with your things? That's a final glace at your life you're leaving behind. You never have to deal with that ever again. I did. I had to stay the night to prevent him from flipping out. So that's most likely messages between her and her friend, but after that, that is basically her entire story. I have to say this story is fucking disgusting, and as much as I just don't want to react right away because a lot of times people can't hype shit up to make it look worse, with the specifics of knowing each date when stuff happens, as well as having the map to show that she was actually there on those dates, as well as the pictures looking pretty gnarly, I don't know what else to say. You know, this is an event where a girl puts a couple scratches on her neck and then says, you know, somebody hit me. There's a huge lump on her head. How did she get that if he didn't give it to her? But, you know, I'm gonna keep looking. There's a little bit more to this story than that. Because Xavier actually admitted to it, and bear with me because he didn't use a single comma, so it's kind of hard to read, but he says, 5 years ago, I'd have to say was the darkest time of my life. I hurt people I loved, I hurt my friends, and I hurt my family. What I did back then, there's no excuse for it. I'm ashamed, and I'm still ashamed now. Since then, I've been doing things I think necessary to better myself with therapy, anger management, and rehab. I hate when motherfuckers come to the internet to apologize because that doesn't solve anything. What really solves the problem is doing something about it, which is what I've spent the time trying to do since that time, and I will continue. The people that support me, I love you to death. It kills me to have to let y'all down like this. Okay, so first things first, big ups to him, I guess, for actually acknowledging it and not continuing to fight and say it's not true. That's all I'm going to give him here because a lot of people just ignore it or try to say that. He did acknowledge it, but now let's get into it. First off, the wording, this is the darkest time of my life. That's trying to gain some sympathy from you. It's the darkest time in your life, Xavier, not for her, not for the girls. It was dark for you. I'm glad you went to anger management. I'm glad you went to rehab, but do you think that's going to take away the hurt that went down there? I'm all for people apologizing, and I truly do believe if you are a domestic abuser that you can eventually heal from that and get better, but I have to say, you didn't acknowledge it until it came out. So now you're acknowledging it, saying I got better, blah, blah, blah. I'm moved on. That same tired excuse that every person uses in this situation, like, what the fuck are you talking about? You abused an animal. Are you admitting to that? What parts are you admitting to? I feel like you should be a little bit more specific about it. And then why complain about an internet apology, but then are you apologizing to the girl herself? And the whole thing with the justice system just failing over and over again, the fact that she tried to call the domestic abuse hotline, couldn't get to anybody, like what's going on with that? And then she gets a restraining order, but it's only for 5 years. If it gets to the level that you need a restraining order on somebody, that should be permanent. Like, I don't know what's going on there. 5 years? You think in 5 years he's going to get over it, especially when he's getting his new girlfriend to go after her? Like, this is insane. It seems like he didn't leave her alone even after the relationship is over, and I'm not surprised if she's still scared about the situation. I wouldn't be surprised if he put this out publicly and then is still threatening her behind the scenes, but I'm not going to speculate on that. But I have to say, I guess good for you for apologizing, kind of, but what the fuck? I'm really starting to learn, and a lot of people said to me in the slump video when I did that one, mental health, drug abuse is not an excuse for being a shitty person. Like, yes, everybody drinks, some people drink too much in their life, you get angry, things happen, but after it happens the first time, you need to learn that that's a problem, or don't be around those people anymore. It can't be, that was a dark time in my life, I was doing cocaine, you know, but now I'm sober and it's better. Like, I feel better, so everybody should be better. It doesn't undo the things that you did. Like, I understand drug abuse, I understand getting to that level, but you being an abusive, shitty person, you should have got away from her earlier on. Like, I don't know what nuanced opinion you guys want me to give. This is fucked. Like, literally fucked. This is horrible, horrendous abuse. He seems like he's admitted to all of it. I don't know if he's going to respond in any meaningful way and explain what parts are good and bad, or like what happened and what didn't, if it's all true, if it's not true. But let's move on because there's actually more. So next up we got Xavier Wulf freaked out and threatened me, and I know what people are thinking. Okay, now people are dogpiling him because of the first abuse allegation, but what I want to say is that oftentimes when the first victim speaks, everybody wants to speak. These first few allegations actually seem to be real. They seem that somebody finally broke the dam and they don't feel alone anymore, so they feel comfortable to tell their story. But oftentimes later on, some people will hop on for clout, or it's just minor stories, or it's not as big as they think it was, or they feel like, oh, you know, I had a bad experience with him and this person had a terrible experience with him, so maybe mine was abuse too. These early on stories are often factual in most cases that I've seen. I used to design for him back in 2019 to 2020. Then I started to notice him abusing women and his dog. I would hear plates break, screaming, and see him throwing his puppy so hard against the wall that she'd pee herself and shiver. He'll then continue to yell at the puppy until he feels satisfied. I would feel so awful that I would stay the night and try to play with her and get her away from him as much as possible. He would also tell me to bring girls over to put this in their cup and they'll fuck with it, and that was some sort of pill which creeped me out. I told him that sounds suspicious and I'm definitely not going to do that. He told me forget it, you're a goody two shoes, with a smile on his face. I called him out on the abuse, and at first he told me whatever happens stays in this house and nobody would know. He told me it's heartbreaking that people are stabbing him in the back, and for whatever reason he brought up other artists and said they're pieces of shit. But he doesn't talk shit about them anymore, and then he derailed the entire conversation. It honestly didn't make sense of the topic of the conversation we were having. When the convo was done, he took away my Holly Squad chain and told me I'd have to re-earn it and called me a lift home. Long story short, he basically freaked out on me, told me I wasn't going to get paid for my work, and then sent me some cringe message that said they're going to jump me. So we got some messages with Xavier here, and I don't think the first ones are important. It's just, did you ever get the samples? He said, you a real weirdo boy, you actually a weird piece of shit, I regret everything I've ever done for you. I'm gonna say this once, keep my name out your mouth, little boy, don't get found and slapped, do not lie or speak on my name again, I'll ruin your life and I'll tell the whole world why you got fired by me. You know I'm not the one to play with. Delete my number and have a productive day. Yeah, so fuck that shit. So basically he got called out for being a piece of garbage, and then he got mad at the guy, messaged him saying he was gonna get him beat up and ruin his life. So you're fully aware of what you're doing, you're fully aware that it's a bad thing, and now you're all innocent saying, oh, I'm sorry, blah blah blah. Like, you're gonna have a lot of explaining to do. You should probably try to explain this better than just that half-assed response. Then says that's breaching contract, you signed and agreed to 35%. If you can't pay the percentage we agreed on, you signed, then I will contact my lawyer. What's not fair is I put hours of my time designing and brainstorming all those designs and created a schedule for what months to drop, and I'm being told you'll take my percentage? If I don't receive my 35%, I was agreed to be paid on contract for my work, I'm done and I'll be forced to take this to court. Take it to court, M-word. I don't give a fuck about no contract. You cross me, you will never eat with me again. Make sure you tell everybody how you ended up in this situation too, bro. When I said fuck you, I meant that. You a fake ass weirdo. Stop texting my phone, N-word. You ain't getting shit. Then messaged him under 3 other numbers saying I got your head, you want to meet up, drop the addy, I'll let my people know. So you're telling him to leave you alone when he's asking for payment and to be done with the situation. He's trying to end it, get his money and be finished, but now you're messaging him under 3 numbers. followers. Okay, the green light, watch out LA boy. And I'm assuming this guy must have posted a picture of him and Xavier Wulf together before this all went down. He said, delete this dude, I don't fuck with you, stop using this picture for clout, get the fuck out. So even in a public place, he's willing to be a piece of shit. So overall, I gotta say, abusing that dog, if that really happened, I don't give a fuck. You're an evil piece of shit if that's true. Like, woman abuse is terrible, don't get me wrong, I don't fuck with it, but I do believe in my heart of hearts that you can eventually heal from an action like that. But beating animals, there's absolutely no fucking reason to do it whatsoever. Animals are innocent creatures that don't do anything, they're not involved in the situation, there's no reason to be mad at them in that way. It's a tiny little dog and you're throwing it against the wall until it's pissing itself and crying. What the fuck is wrong with you? Like, you don't think about what you're doing? Like, I'm trying not to get upset about the situation because I know it's not technically confirmed fully on his side what did and didn't happen. I'm trying to have an open mind, but holy fucking shit, dude. So if all of this couldn't get worse, there's one final Reddit post and it says, Xavier Wulf went to the hotel with me when I was 15. The girl says, I'd like to stay anonymous. I want to finally speak up about this after seeing that Xavier Wulf physically assaulted and mentally abused his ex-girlfriend. When I was 15 in January 2018, I went to Xavier Wulf's concert and we ended up having sex. After the concert, I went to the hotel with Xavier Wulf. I was a minor and 15 at the time. He never saw my proof of ID showing my age or any proof that I was an adult. I completely believe everything that his ex said because he snorted cocaine off of me and had other hardcore drugs similar to what she stated. It was clear that he had a drug problem. He offered all of the drugs that he had, but I denied. I'm speaking on this because I hope this could be prevented in the future. Any male adult rappers should see proof of age verification, and I think it's a bit predatory that things happened the way they did. At 15, I was traumatized from the experience. It's something I deeply regret and I feel disgusted about. After seeing the way he violently struck his ex-girlfriend shortly after in late 2018 or early 2019, I thank God that he didn't do that to me. I attached proof at the hotel with him. I like to keep this as short as possible because I do forgive him, but I don't think he'll ever be a good person, and I'm worried what he might do to other people that he gets into relationships with or other girls that go to his concerts. And then we have a bunch of Snapchats of him in the hotel room with her, and I have to say this one is a little bit weird, and I know a lot of people are going to say, oh well, she wanted it or blah blah blah, but at the same time, this is very common in the scene. Guys get on drugs, girls come to the concerts, they want to fuck their favorite rapper or at least get their attention, be around them, and fucking them is how they get the attention. I've seen guys say before, oh, it's very predatory of those girls to do that to a rapper, but they're 15 years old, they don't know what they want. You should be able to tell they're 15, and unfortunately the way that it goes, just in the scene, in the world that we live in, you have to ask for ID. You just have to do it when you're famous like that. If you're going to be fucking random girls at shows and you're going to be high on drugs, you probably want to know the age or you're going to get stuck in a situation like this. Besides that, I don't want to say too much more about it. We don't know the age difference or anything about it. It's definitely something to add on, and it's worth note. It probably happened more than once if this happened, because I would say he's not checking IDs at all, so this probably happened quite a bit, and there's probably going to be more allegations that come out in the following days. I'm very interested to see how Sesh Hollow Waterboys are going to react, Bones, all of his friends. Are people going to cut him off? Because I feel like in this situation, that's what's going to have to happen. I really feel like Xavier just needs to leave the scene altogether. I mean, he's lucky that he's not in jail or prison for everything he's done. He probably should be. There probably should be a case made against him if that can even happen at this point. And this isn't some cancel culture bullshit or somebody trying to cancel him. I know a lot of people are going to be like, oh, you're trying to ruin his career. Fuck a rap career at this point. After everything he did, he shouldn't even be a rapper anymore. Shouldn't be in the scene. He should be behind bars. Hey, how people try to recover their rap careers after situations like this. Like, stop worrying about that. If you're trying to get better, then go be better. Go get better. Go do different things. Stop dropping music. Stop doing that. And every rapper around him, I'm not going to say this stupid shit where it's like everybody who's around him should be ashamed. No, if you work with this guy in the past and you have no idea that this happened, you don't have to take down the songs. You don't have to take down the music. You don't have to be afraid to talk. This is one thing I truly hate about the underground scene. When something shitty happens with something, people aren't willing to talk. Oh, I don't want to say anything. I don't want to attach it onto my career. So you're letting it continue. If you have nothing to say about Xavier Wulf, it's fine. You don't have to say anything. But if you do have a story about him that's like a bad story, maybe you should add on if you're a fellow collaborator. You don't have to take the music off and try to cut all ties like you never worked with them to try to save face. Unfortunately, there's bad people in the scene, and sometimes you work with bad people that you don't know are bad people. Sometimes your best friend can be the nicest person in the world to you, but behind the scenes, he's doing awful things. You just don't know. We're not going to hold that against you, and anybody that does shouldn't. But at the same time, I feel like there's a point where you do have to speak about it, and I think that you should. You can just say a little thing, hey, I don't mess with this anymore, if you're directly connected. If you want to wait for more evidence to come out or more whatever to come out, more accusations, you can do that as well. You don't need to react right away. That can put you in a bad spot. But please don't sweep this all under the rug, because that's not going to help anybody out. But yeah, as of now, that's all the accusations of Xavier Wulf, and this is an awful, awful situation. For anybody who's a fan, I'm assuming this is terrible to hear. This is one of their favorite rappers, a lot of people's favorite rappers. A lot of people look up to this guy, and for him to do this, it's just terrible. I'm not gonna lie, I'm not even gonna promote anything in this video. Just go look at the accusations, go see what's going on, and hopefully you can take what you can take from this situation, form your own opinion, and if anything else happens, happens, I'll make sure to tell you guys. Thanks for watching.
So literally right before I was screenshotting everything for this video, supposedly the Xavier Wulf fucking Reddit decided to take the fucking post down for some reason, saying it went against community guidelines. So good for you fucking Reddit mods, making sure to defend abusers. That's fucking real cool. I got basically everything. I have the picture of her with the bump on her head. Unfortunately, I lost the picture of her with the dog, with the mom, and the couple location trackers, because it doesn't seem like anybody reposted that. But yeah, bang up fucking job, Reddit mods. Good thing taking that down. Keeping your community safe. Go fuck yourself. Like, seriously, go fuck yourself.